Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jared. Today, I'm going to be finishing up some suspension mods on my V35 Skyline. So what I have here is a front and rear sway bar kit for a V35 and 350Z from Whiteline. That is the part number of the bag. Both of them came in. That is the part number for the front sway bar and the part number for the rear sway bar. This front sway bar is the biggest sway bar I've literally ever seen. You even just compare it to the back here. The back one is tight. It's like half the size of this front one, and this thing is solid. It might be hollow, but it's very heavy. This kit also came with new bushes and these brackets to stop the sway bar from moving, and the same for the rear. And it also came with the shackles for the rear one as well. And then it came with new end links for the front and the rear. I'm not sure which way around they go. And this sticker pack, if that's something you're interested in. So why would you buy a sway bar? Well, in my case, I lowered the car and changed the roll center. So even with the stiffer springs, the car does have quite a bit of roll in it still. And the turn-in response is not quite as sharp and direct as I would like. So the sway bar can help turn in by making the feel a little bit more direct. Usually you can tell this because mid-corner it feels good as the sway bar's loaded up. But as it's loading up, turning into the corner, it can give a bit of a spongy or vague feeling. I bought these off eBay with a coupon from the seller and a coupon from eBay for $650, which is pretty good because normally they're over $1,000 on Whiteline's website. So I'll put a link to where I bought it on eBay so you guys can get the same one. I think I'm going to start off with the rear, and probably goes without saying that you're going to need to jack your car up and take the wheels off. But we're going to take off a piece of the exhaust in order to get the old sway bar out and put the new one in. Alright, so now we got the rear sway bar out, we can actually compare it to the old one. And the diameter actually looks almost the same between the two. There's not that much difference. But you can see the new sway bar has adjustable end links here, whereas the old one only has one. The new sway bar has adjustable holes where we can put the end links for stiffer or softer. So being close is going to be stiffer, and being furthest out is going to be the softest. And the factory bar only has the one hole. They also come with adjustable sway bar end links, which have a turnbuckle here, so you can adjust the preload of the sway bar. There's a kit for the front and the rear. So the rear one has a smaller bolt diameter that will only fit in the rear one, and the front one is thicker and that will only fit in the front sway bar. With these washers here, there's actually two on here already. but they're to go either side of the hole here to reposition the sway bar end link so that it's as straight as possible. And then finally for the rear, we've got new polyurethane bushes compared to the factory rubber bushes, and we've got a thicker steel bracket compared to the thinner press steel. So this is going to also reduce the amount of flexing that the bar can do when it's loaded up as well. I was just reading this information that came with the sway bar, and it's just saying that these new bushes are PTFE lined and they don't require any grease, but they supply grease with the kit, so maybe it's just complimentary. But you can see in there that there is these like pattern that I guess is designed to stop squeaking when it rotates. So we'll throw it on with no grease and we'll see how it performs. Alright, so you just saw me in the last clip tighten the sway bar end links where they mount onto the sway bar and in the chassis. And I've also gone ahead and tightened up where it bolts to the body. And at the moment you can see this is still loose. So what we want to go ahead now and do is set the preload for the sway bar end link. And to do that, what we're going to do is put a jack underneath the hub and put it into a position where it would be at ride height, and we need to do both sides with the jack, and then from there we're going to set it to 0 preload. So what I'm going to do now is turn the end link, and you'll notice one direction it gets looser, and then the other end, as you start tightening it, it's going to get tighter and tighter. So pretty much when you can't turn it by hand anymore, that's good. And you want to set that at the ride height, approximately where it's going to be sitting statically. So that way the handling of the sway bar is neutral and it's not too preloaded or too stiff, and it's going to allow the shock to do the work. Then you want to go ahead and repeat the process for the other side. Then you can go ahead and lock up these locking nuts here. When you tighten up the sway bar end link, make sure you hold the middle adjustment with a shifter while you tighten up the top nut. And when you're done, make sure that you realign it into a straight position and that these joints are not on an angle, because that's going to prematurely wear them out. So for example, just going to straighten up that like that so that the wear is even on both of them. To finish off the installation, you can go ahead and throw in these stops here, which are clamped onto the factory sway bar. This stops the sway bar sliding in and out. So you have one on this end, one on the other end. So these need to be butted up against the bush here, but you only do that once you've adjusted the sway bar into the middle. So you need to have the same distance here on both sides so that the sway bar is centered perfectly. And then once you've got that done up, just bolt check everything. So now we're moving on to the front. To get access to remove that sway bar, we're going to have to remove the plastic under tray first, and then we can get access to the 2 bolts holding it on. So that's going to be step number 1. Alright, so now we got the front sway bar in. Highly recommend you get a friend to help you do that just because of how heavy that bar is. Next we're going to move on to the sway bar end links. So I've gone ahead and adjusted them just to the same length as the factory end link and just made them the same to chuck on the car. And the same story, make sure you got a washer either side of the end link with a nut and do it on both sides. Now I've gone ahead and tightened up the sway bar and also thrown on the locks, which you can just see there. Sway bar links are tightened down, and we've got the jack under the suspension to put it at ride height level. So again, we're going to adjust this by hand until it gets to a point where we can't turn it anymore, and then we're going to lock it off at that point and do the same for the other side. Alright guys, so it's been a week now since I installed the sway bars, so I can give you a bit more of an indication on how they feel. But as soon as I installed them, you could tell instantly the responsiveness and the stiffness of the suspension was improved. So now, like when I go around the corner, it just turns in straight away. And even on the steering wheel, the slightest movement now actually changes the suspension. Before I had like a bit of a dead zone, and now that's completely gone. Like it feels like a new car now. I feel like the impact of the sway bar was more than changing the coilovers. So we go around this corner just straight, like there's no like messing around. Like it just does exactly what you want it to do. It's just like effortless now. And I'd say it's more predictable. Like it's because when you turned into the corner, you couldn't feel initially what the car was going to do. But now that you can even feel it when you're driving straight, as soon as you turn that wheel, it just turns in straight away. And Alright guys, this wraps up the video just with a few outtakes of me driving around the corner. Super stoked with the sway bars. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks.